Today we're going to talk about love languages, and not just love languages, because so many of you already know what that is, but why is it important to know, and what happens if the love language you have is different from the person you're dating. Okay, super important, because I have seen relationships fail just because of this. And so let's talk about it. First and foremost, what are the five love languages? Physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service, and receiving gifts. Okay. And so those are the five. As you're like listening, you might be like, oh my God, those are all of mine. And you might have more than one, and that's totally fine. But for sure, you're going to lean towards one more of it than the other. And this is actually so important. I think that, sometimes people talk shit and they're like, oh, love language, who cares? And I actually think they're absolutely wrong. It is important. And, but that being said, I will tell you, do not go onto the dating apps and you ask somebody, oh, what's your love language? Because not many people even know what love languages are. They never even heard of it. And that doesn't mean that, they're not aligned to you. They could very well be your person and the right partner, but they just don't know, and they don't speak like that. They don't know that, whatever. And so like throw them a bone, right? What's more important is about the question that you could ask, by the way. Instead of what's your love language, you could ask, oh, how do you, show your partner? How do you show up in a relationship? What kind of partner are you? And they'll say like, oh my gosh, I love taking care of my partner. I love cooking for them and cleaning, doing laundry. Like, I'm literally describing my husband. This is all the things that he does. He does all these things. He's acts of service 100 million%. But I am like huge on words of affirmation, and he's not so much like that, like when I first met him. And so I would tell him, like, hey, can you tell me? Because, like, for me, I really, love to hear the words that you're like, all the great things that you're obsessed about with me, right? You gotta, for me, that's how I work, words of affirmation. And so he makes the effort, and he's like, okay, now he's used to it, right? We're married 17 years. But like back then, I had to communicate to him, like, he's like, oh yeah, but I'm obviously thinking of you. I'm like, oh no, no, but if I don't receive a message from you, then I don't, like, I really would love to hear it. They're like, oh my gosh, I miss you today, or I'm thinking of you, or it's really busy. And he was like, oh my gosh, in his brain, he's like, I'm showing you love. I'm showing up because I'm planning the date this weekend, or I'm cooking dinner for you later, or whatever it is. But for me, I'm like, communication time. Like, send me a message. And because his priority was me, and it still always is, he always shows up, and he's like, okay, this is how Jackie receives love, and let me make sure to do that. So I hope you're hearing this, because you got to reflect on what is that you want from the person that you ideally do life with, right? And the person you're even dating, even before you're dating, just like know that. You should know this about you. You're like, oh my God, I'm all about physical touch. Oh yeah, like, I love physical touch too. That's a big one. And so like, if that person isn't giving you affection or isn't being physical, you got to communicate that and say, oh my God, physical touch is really important to me. Hold hands, give me a hug, kissing. And, if they're like, I just not into that, that's not what I do. Like, if they say something like that, and you're like, well, can you? Because that's just how I receive love. And they're like, no, I'm not going to. Then, like, truly for me, like, that would be a bye bye moment. That really would be if I told Will, like, I would love, I love to hear the words when you tell me that you love me. And he's like, yeah, I don't do that. Not gonna do it. Like, if he was so adamant about it, I would be like, bye bye, fuck that. Like, just because that really is my number one love language. And if he wasn't willing to adjust or shift, or, say, oh, let me make sure to express love like that, then we're not aligned. Okay. So you got to be really honest about it. Maybe for you, it's okay receiving gifts, and you tell someone, yeah, like I love gifts. I'm all about the gifts. And they're like cheap or they're broke. They don't. Well, first of all, that's another whole episode. Don't date anyone that's broke. But like, truly, if they're like, no, I don't care, that's your love language. I am showing you love my way. And that, ew. my not liking it. I'm not into that. And this is on you. This is so important that you realize this, okay? You need to communicate. So people are going to read your mind. You can't be like, "Oh, they're not showing me affection," and you're upset about it. You have to tell them. You have to say, "Hey, this is how what I love. This is how I, receive love." And then if they say, I don't do that, I'm not going to do that, I don't give a shit, then you could be like, bye bye. But just, it's so important before you say bye bye to communicate what you really want, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And it goes both ways. Okay. So if they say to you, oh, yeah, I'm all about physical touch, and you're like, I'm about receiving gifts, you're not going to be like, give me gifts, bitch. You have to be like, okay, I love gifts, and they're like, okay, perfect. I'm gonna make sure to give you gifts. But they're like about physical touch. You're like, oh my gosh, I can do that, even though it's not my, love language. If that's yours, let me make sure to show you love, like the way that you want to receive it. It has to go both ways, you guys. Seriously, it cannot be just like one way. It has to be your way, and that's it. That's bullshit. Okay. I hope this is landing. I think some of you are going to be like, screw that. No, and that's the thing. If you're feeling like, screw this, and you're not going to do it, then this is why you're going to end up like how you've been ending up truly. Like, you've got to understand the things that I'm probably going to be saying on this podcast. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to always tell you shit that is getting you closer to your person. But if your brain is saying, oh, I don't like any of this, good. You want something different. You want to get uncomfortable. Okay? If you don't like communication, that's probably a huge reason why you're single or have been with the wrong people. This is all about helping you become the best version of you so you can attract that secure, amazing partner. And understanding this is a huge part of making that space to attract that high quality partner. Okay. Let me know if this is landing with you, and make sure you drop a review. That would mean so much to me. I know so many of you are listening. You tell me on the DMs, but I want to see a review. Let me know how this is landing for you and helping you. Sending you so much love. And remember, it has to be crazy love or nothing. Until next time.